Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the 2022 Year Ahead Vedic Astrology readings. So these readings will be looking at the planetary placements in the year ahead. So the planetary placements on January 1st, 2022 and how they relate to your chart. Of course, as usual, to get a more in-depth personal reading, a personal reading will be required. And I am opening up readings for year ahead readings, Vedic astrology, Western astrology, as well as some tarot reading options. And the link is below in the description box for that. Also, if you're interested in taking one of my online courses that I offer over on Teachable, those will only be available through the end of 2021. And those include the Journey Through the Nakshatras course and Shedding Light on Your Karma and Dharma. Those courses include PDFs and downloads. So if you're interested in those, you want to get them before they're not available anymore, check below, find the links. I'll pin them at the top of the comments as well so you can find them and see if it's something you're interested in. All right, let's get on to our year ahead readings. Hi Gemini, welcome to your 2022 year ahead Vedic astrology reading. So here we have a chart pulled up on January 1st, 2022. With you and the first house, you can see how this lays on top of your natal chart and check out the drishtis, etc. So trying to decide where to start for you. Well, let's start right down here in your seventh house of relationships. So Gemini, your seventh house is the sign of Sagittarius. And we've got a nice little cluster of planets here. Let's start with Venus here in the seventh. Venus is retrograde, which tends to internalize the energy. In this sense, I want to say it deepens energy. So seventh house is the house of relationships, technically spouse, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, but it can also be your best friends, your business partners, and also how you view relationships. And what I want to say for you, because this is a January 1st chart, what you want in the year ahead concerning relationships. So Venus, obviously, Shukra, sweetness, love, romance, also beauty and creativity. And I feel you are really wanting, I want to say maybe some Geminis are determined to have loving relationships, pleasant interactions with those with whom you're in a relationship, and also bring in love. And especially for male Geminis or Geminis out there looking for a female partner, this is a great sign. If you're already in a strong relationship or in one that's growing, this can be an indicate that, commitment, potentially marriage is on the way. Not a super strong indicator, but it is an indicator here. As well, because with Venus, we have the sun representing the soul. It's the soul significator in this seventh house, shining in relationships, potentially for those out there seeking, finding that soul connection. I don't often use this term, but because you're Gemini, potentially what feels like a twin flame connection. And I have a video on how I feel about twin flames and soulmates, and that's why I say it that way, because there's not just one, and that's not necessarily who we're supposed to be with. But this combination here in the seventh for the year of 2022 can indicate that feeling of that deep soul connection with someone, especially in a love relationship. But again, it can play out in friendships, business partnerships, or what you are focused on seeking in your relationships in the year ahead. So now let's talk about the moon. So this is a chart, January 1st. The time is adjusted, so 4 p.m. to get Gemini here in the first house so you can see how this lays on your chart. But at midnight of January 1st, 2022, when the year kicks off, the moon is actually still here in Scorpio in the nakshatra of Jeshta, as Mars is in this chart. So I'm reading the moon in both positions because it does change signs on the 1st. And it shifts in your chart. So I thought, why not? Let's look at it in both positions. Now, moon here in the 7th, of course, moon representing emotions, emotional mind, does indicate a wonderful emotional connection as well. So that adds to that deep kind of soulmate, twin flame feeling with someone. The moon can also represent illusion. So be careful you don't just get lost in the illusion of that. Okay. So Moon conjoined Sun is a new moon. The actual time of the new moon is on January 2nd, so it's just approaching a new moon. But there is new moon energy here for you for relationships, Gemini, in the year ahead. So for those looking for a relationship or wanting a change in your relationships, a new beginning some way, that energy is there for you as well. Now looking at the moon here, I'm encircling an invisible moon for midnight on January 1st, 2022. In the intense sign of Scorpio, Mars, who rules Scorpios here, the moon is in Jeshta with Mars, and the moon is actually at the Gandanta point, at a very intense point in Scorpio, where the lunar and solar zodiacs line up. And this is in your 6th house. 6th house is the house of work, service, health, daily routine, lifestyle, hobbies. Mars here ruling, in his sign that he rules, one of the signs that he rules, brings a lot of passion, a lot of drive, a lot of desire to go more deeply into health matters. It feels like it's more work and hobbies, like the things you do that you're interested in, that you want to do more of. That's what I'm feeling. Mars rules athletics, so sports, exercise, you could say. So especially Gemini is looking to train for an event, whatever sport it might be, to exercise more, to be more active this year. You've got very strong energy, very supportive energy for that. And with the moon here as well, you'll want to do it. You'll feel it, right? Also, looking at this from a health perspective, Mars is heat. Again, he's very strong here in his own sign, even though Scorpio is a water sign. The moon, the invisible moon here, is the element of water. Make sure you hydrate well when and if you're exercising and training for something. Don't get overheated. Hydrate very well. I'm going to stress that for you health-wise. But Moon and Mars, both in Jeshta, in Scorpio, very intense, focused energy that comes from the heart, not so much the mind, right? Gemini, you're ruled by Mercury. You're very intellectual and mental. Really feeling the passion for the things you want to do, whether it is something concerning health or lifestyle or sports, or your work, which may overlap with your career, hobbies, etc. Now we also have K2 here. So in a birth chart, K2 represents past lives, past karma. In a transit chart reading like this, it often can just represent the past year, because our focus is the year ahead, so 2021, or the past few years, or possibly larger chunks of time in the past, in this lifetime. And what I'm getting here is wanting to do away with old habits, especially when it comes to health and lifestyle. Getting away from old unhealthy habits that have taken away from your health, whether it's minor or major. And you have the drive of strong Mars here, conjoined the moon in Jeshta, to bring about that big transition. So breaking away from old unhealthy habits, whether it's addiction or just not exercising or, eating McDonald's for dinner every day, whatever it might be. Okay. Let's move over here to the 8th house. 8th house in your chart, Gemini, is the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is here. So Saturn is very strong in your chart, and your ruler Mercury is here. 8th house is the house of death, change, and transformation, the mystical, the occult, that which is secret and hidden, and bringing about major changes and having the focus and the discipline to do it is what I'm feeling most strongly here. Of course, Mercury rules Jeshta, the nakshatra that the moon is in as the year begins. And some of it may be triggered by lifestyle changes, daily routine changes, work changes, health changes, etc. But you really want to, and Saturn also signifies transformation. So that adds to the changes and transformation energy. And you really want to make changes to you, and it feels very personal. That doesn't mean there won't be changes in career or home or whatnot, but it feels very personal, especially with your ruler Mercury here, conjoined Saturn. You want to bring about changes. Again, I feel a lot of it will play out in lifestyle, hobbies, your daily routine. We'll just lump that up as lifestyle, including health. Bring about some major changes that you want to establish, strong Saturn energy here, for the long term. Your ruler here, you're determined to do it, you're figuring it out. 8th house is a house of research, and you got Mercury here, the intellectual mind, studying, learning, how can I bring about these changes I want to transform myself and to transform your life. So this is a year to transform yourself, your personal self. However that is, it's going to be different for each Gemini out there. And then over here in your 9th house is the house of spirituality, religion, philosophy, higher education, law, politics, publication. You have the natural ruler Jupiter here, and it's your 9th house. Gemini is the sign of Aquarius. Jupiter bringing in, growth and expansion. He's the great benefic, auspiciousness. Expanding your horizons. 9th house is also a house of foreign travel, and Jupiter is the natural ruler here. Geminis may be wanting to expand your horizons by traveling. Jupiter has adventuresome energy sometimes, like wanting to be out there in the world. And I want to say, as part of your self-discovery, potentially, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius as well as Pisces, your career, potentially traveling with a partner as part of the, the development of your relationship, or one that comes in that has that soulmate type connection. Remember, just check it with the moon here. You're not falling into illusion in the process, but that doesn't feel very strong. Overall, it feels like relationships for Gemini, whatever those close relationships are in the year ahead, will be pretty good. And you may travel together. You may, explore, develop your religious, spiritual, philosophical aspect of your life together. Jupiter is guru, the teacher. Learn through your spiritual practice, or you may meet through school, through education, through higher education. So college, taking a course, a weekend workshop, or even a spiritual type of, spiritual education is also higher education. Through a spiritual or religious event, you could potentially meet, or your relationship grows and expands and develops through that. But Jupiter brings expansion to all those areas that 9th house covers. Most strongly, though, it feels like travel, your spiritual religious life, and that in relation to your relationships, your closest relationships, but then also your career. Though it would be when Jupiter moves into Pisces that you'll really start to see your career grow. And just to sort of jump outside of this reading, Jupiter moves into Pisces in April for a year. Okay. Last but not least, we have Rahu up here in your 12th house. Your 12th house is the sign of Taurus. 12th house is the collective unconscious. It's moksha, liberation, yoga, meditation, spiritual seeking, emotional and psychological health and well-being, psychology. And Rahu is here. So Rahu brings in drive, motivation, but also karma you want to put into action. And though it may play out like going to therapy or doing some emotional healing for some Geminis, what I feel strongest is focus on your spiritual path, on your spiritual growth. And that ties in here with me with whatever expands here in your 9th house. Wanting to understand your spiritual self better. And of course, Rahu has a drishti here on your 8th house, which is really another spiritual house. It's the esoteric house. 9th house is the exoteric, kind of the two sides of religion and spirituality, and 12th house is the more psychical and universal spirituality, if that makes sense. So whatever transformations take place, fueled by, inspired by your lifestyle changes and your focus, the actions you take on your deeper spiritual path. And that's going to be different for every Gemini out there. This is all working together. And of course, here we have the karmic axis, Rahu, Ketu, the nodal axis. And it's looking at, has a drishti on this 8th house. Transforming yourself from the inside out, I think, is the main theme for you, Gemini. Plus, I feel lots of good stuff going on in relationships for you. All right, Gemini, that is your 2022 year ahead Vedic astrology reading. For a more in-depth reading or my courses, etc., all the links are below in the description box or pinned at the top of the comments. Again, wishing you a wonderful 2022.